Growing up, my grandparents were always an important part of my life. They were at every birthday party, Christmas, Thanksgiving, cattle work, Sunday lunch after church, you name it, they were there. My dad always thought that it was an important thing for me and my brother and sister to have a relationship with them, so sure enough, we were always together. Soon enough, I realized how important my granddad was in everything that he taught me in life. He taught me so many things, like what it means to work hard for something and to appreciate what you have. A few weeks ago, I was planning to meet my stepmom before school to switch out trucks, whenever she called me and told me that my granddad had had a stroke and that he was being care-flighted for emergency surgery in El Paso. I immediately was just crying and didn't know what to think and didn't know what was going to happen. And my brother came and picked me up and took me to school that day, and for the rest of the day I was looking at my phone, waiting for a text or phone call just to know what was going on and to see how he was doing. Later that day, my stepmom texted me and told me that they weren't going to do surgery, but that things weren't looking too good. That week was also my county stock show week, so I was having to get ready my lambs and goats, and anybody that stock show knows that a lot of work goes into it. You know, you have to feed your animal, wash them, shear them, everything along those lines. And it's also my senior year, so all I could think about was what if something did happen to my granddad? During this week, I wasn't going to be there because I was going to be stuck here taking care of an animal instead of there with him. As the week went on, I was, getting text messages about how he was doing, and they decided that they weren't going to do surgery, but that he was still having a lot of bleeding on his brain. As the week got closer, my parents called me and told me that they weren't going to be able to make it to my senior county show, which I was really disappointed about, but that they said that my granddad was going to get to go home that next Sunday. So I was waiting for that to hear about how they were going to transport him and this and that, and finally they said that he was cleared to go to Odessa Medical Center. That next week, I finally got to go see my granddad, and before I got there, my dad sat me down and told me about how my granddad was not the same person that he used to be because of how much brain damage he had had. And that was something really hard to hear because he was somebody that I always cared about his opinion or talked to about things, and to hear that he might not be the same person was a difficult thing to take in. When I got there to see him, he was hooked up to IVs and everything like that, had bruises all down him. And he knew who I was, but he wasn't really clear about some things or where he was at and just other stuff like that. When I left the hospital, all I could think about was how I was so happy that he was okay, but I didn't know how things were going to be okay between us, knowing that he might not remember things about us or remember who I was. As I was driving home that night, this song, Green Pastures, came on, and I remember pulling over on the side of the road and just crying listening to this song, because this song goes with Psalms 23:24, which talks about how the Lord is your shepherd and how you should lack nothing and that he was always there with you. After listening to that song, I felt a peace knowing that while my granddad might not be the same person that he was, I was still blessed to have the opportunity to still have him in my life, because I don't know what I would do without him. The next day I went to the hospital to see him, and I was talking to my Nana whenever she brought up his scripture and this song, and it just made me so happy. I had told her about how the night before I had listened to it and how much it just meant to me and gave me peace knowing that everything was going to be all right. It has now been January, February, 2 months since my granddad had a stroke. And while he's still not 100%, he's doing a lot better. And the other day, whenever I went to go see him, he was sitting up in his bed telling me about how he was going to be out of there and at my graduation, walking the stage with me to be there with me. And so while things are not the best, they're better. And thanks to the song, I still look back and listen to it and remember that everything's going to be okay.